What's up, guys? Man, this was a crazy drop that we've seen so far. And this isn't even Friday, which is really the big news day with unemployment and non-farm payrolls and all that shit. Um, but yeah, pretty crazy. Um, and I guess kind of exciting, you know. I mean, obviously it's going against my general feelings or emotions on gold right now in terms of like I'm still pretty bullish on gold, even despite this correction or pullback that we've seen for the moment. Um, but I just wanted to go through, make a video and kind of go through, okay, what have I done with my positions? How am I kind of viewing the market right now? If anything regarding my overall outlook on gold has changed. Um, what am I kind of expecting? What are the price levels I'm looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go through all of this now, all right? So obviously, we've seen a big drop in the price of gold, and I think what's really important to note is right now I'm actually on the 4-hour time chart, but we can also look at the day chart. I think what's obviously quite important to see or notice is that where we were previously seeing pretty strong support at like 1900, 1895, and so forth, and we always got those bounce backs. Today, especially with that data coming out, we had the data for ADP non-farm employment change, which is kind of it's not as big or as important as the NFP, but that's just coming out tomorrow, by the way, guys. So seriously, watch out for that. But it can kind of give some insight sometimes into what we can expect, and it was just so positive compared to the forecast, which I think people obviously took as kind of like, oh, like this is kind of like it's what's the word we say, foreshadowing what could be coming out tomorrow. And at the same time, also the unemployment claims were also under 400K for the first time in a while. So these are obviously very bullish for the dollar, and obviously has kind of helped the dollar have that kind of bounce back, right? Because dollar, as we all know, we were very bearish on for quite some time, but it really looked like that $90 level, or that 89 point whatever you want to call it, was proving to be quite strong support. And then with that data coming out, we really got that strong bounce back. Same with yields, right? I mean, yields is having a very strong bounce back. You can't see it really that well on the day chart, but let's go to the hour chart, right? Had that strong bounce back in yields, and this is obviously very negative for the price of gold more than anything. And now it's kind of like the question of, is this a reversal? Is this a sign for a longer term reversal? For me personally, I still am quite bullish on gold. However, we have to respect the data that is going to be coming out tomorrow at this point, the other key thing that I also want to point out is from a technical standpoint, and I already started noticing this yesterday, but yesterday I didn't do a video on gold. I wish I had, because I would have pointed this out. But I think the key thing that we really noticed was that, yes, we were getting these bounces at like 1895, and we were, getting, constantly pushing back past 1900. But you could tell that the momentum was kind of starting to wane a little bit. I don't know if that was because people were kind of expecting the NFP data for Friday. If it could also be to do with crypto, right, and Bitcoin, and now Bitcoin's kind of stabilizing a little bit from its drop, and I think, it's pretty clear for me personally at this point that there's a pretty strong correlation between gold and Bitcoin, and like they don't tend to, they tend to go inversely. Not always the case for sure. Don't get me wrong. It depends on the time, but I think in this current climate, there is probably that sort of inverse correlation, and you could really see that like there was kind of this clear lower low, lower high, and it was something that I definitely noticed, and I actually was starting to get a bit wary about the positions that I actually had open around the 1900 to 1909 level. Like I had my highest one was at 1909, and I had multiple positions there. but pretty small risk. I knew or pretty small amounts. I knew what I was risking, and I knew that, obviously, like, we were getting higher and higher and higher. But I was still expecting us to keep the momentum, because the momentum just looked really, really strong. And also the dollar just looks so weak. And then we obviously, but I didn't close. And then we obviously got this pullback. And that's when I did decide to just cut my losses, because I just, sometimes you just have to know. Like, the reality is like, even if I'm really bullish on gold, you just got to know sometimes when it's the right time to cut your loss. I took a risk in expecting the price to at least go to the, over 1920 and hopefully continue on to that 1960 range over the coming days. But because of the data that's been coming out, and news is a big thing in Forex or trading metals, it went against me. I knew what was coming. And yeah, so I took a loss. I actually closed those positions at like around 1890 or 1888. I could just tell that it wasn't looking good at all. At the same time, though, I had those larger positions that I had opened previously at these 1820 to 1840 levels. I had like two positions open. I also closed those for pretty big profits. So overall, I still closed in the profit, but I did take a loss in those positions up there. Hey man, sometimes you lose, and I'm not afraid to admit it, that I was, I mean, I was wrong. The data went against me, so sometimes the data does that, and it is what it is. However, despite all that, I'm still bullish on gold. I still think in the longer term picture, everything is still positive for gold, and I'm definitely also bearish on the dollar. Like, even if the data that comes out tomorrow is positive, there's the Fed meeting, which is on the 16th of June, I believe, and the Fed still has shown no interest in increasing interest rates. If they keep on with that narrative of we're not going to increase interest rates, of course I'm going to be bullish on gold in the short term. And then on top of that, with all the quantitative easing, the money printing, of course, I'm even in the longer term picture, I'm definitely bullish on gold, right? But it's just, so really the question is more like, okay, so what am I going to do short term, and where is really the places I'm looking at to potentially buy in again, right? First thing I'll say, though, off the bat is, for me personally, as somebody who, I'm not like a trader who has any experience with like 20-year, 10-year experience, and just also given everything that we saw today, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty hesitant to do anything or buy into anything until we see what happens tomorrow, just because that data is going to be big. I mean, I think everybody's expecting it's going to be pretty clear. And it's just also hard to read, because even with the pretty positive jobs data that came out today, or the employment data, look at last time, right? Last month, the forecast was just so off, and everybody, like every analyst, was off, right? It was so much lower than people expected. So I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty hesitant to go in unless I see the price go really towards more of this like 1860, 1850 level for now. So if we're looking at the chart at the moment on the 1 hour, 1870 was pretty strong support for a while in the shorter term time frames. As you can see here we have these, it was really made support constantly, and it was also resistance before. And sure enough, at least on the hour chart, we are seeing some buyers coming in at this price range. However, I still am hesitant at this price range currently. I'd much rather try and see the price go lower to 1850, where we had such a strong bounce before, where it was such strong resistance before, and then we had that, buy back in. We had that up and then, test and then continue up. This is really where I'm kind of more interested in. And then if we get that stronger bounce there once the data comes out tomorrow, and then we also get to that 1870 level, I'll probably then continue to add into the position, as opposed to, buy here and then hold a big loss, and potentially, if we don't hold that 1850, then we're going even lower to like probably at least like 1840 or 1830, where at least, on the 4 hour chart, for example, we have pretty strong, previous resistance. So I expect that we'll see some, oh, sorry, not there. What the hell am I doing? Here, this is where I had the line, where we had pretty strong resistance before, and then we also had that, breakout, retest, and continuation. So that's why, so I'm really looking for this range around 1860, 1850. The reality is, guys, I've mentioned this before in like a couple of videos before. Man, I mean, the momentum, the run up we had in gold, if we're looking at the day chart, it's been pretty fucking ridiculous, right? So it's kind of, it's this kind of pullback is also kind of expected. I mean, I was definitely like, or this, let's say, this doesn't really surprise me also. And I wouldn't also freak out about like this candle right now, because look, we had that before, and then look at the bounce back we got. Fundamentally, I still think gold has very good value. And honestly speaking, more than anything, I view this as a buying opportunity as opposed to like a chance of like freaking out. Another question though that admittedly or something that I have been pondering is like, is there also an opportunity to short here for the moment? Because I do think like in the very short term, there's a chance of a downward price action. And all I would say to that is one, it's definitely risky because I still think fundamentally there's strength in gold, especially at levels like this. If we actually saw a kind of like almost like a relief rally, let's say, to about like, around this 1890 to 1895 level where it was previous support, if we're looking at the hour chart, and then we get that bounce down, yeah, maybe taking a small short position is actually interesting. And it's definitely something I'm eyeing, but that would definitely be on a very, very short-term level. And I would be looking to, if I opened that short position around, 1888, let's say, I would definitely be looking to take profits around 1870 or just above that. Because, it's just, especially with the data coming out, it's just so risky. And I definitely would not recommend that necessarily. It's just me kind of being like a greedy dumbass, just kind of being like, well, maybe why not? And just be very tight with a stop loss there. I would definitely use a stop loss for that kind of trade. But definitely what I'm more interested in is going long on gold at these lower levels, right? Honestly, again, one last thing I would want to say, especially if you're like really, really new to trading gold, or trading markets in general, these kind of corrections or these pullbacks are actually healthy because you can't just keep on going up forever. I've said this so many times. That's just not possible. Okay, it's just not going to happen. That's not how markets work, and that's not how price works, and how human psychology works when it comes to trading. So this kind of pullback is actually, frankly speaking, it's pretty good. Like, it just gives, if you're bullish on gold the long term, or in, at least in these next couple of weeks or months, like this is just a good opportunity. So just make sure you look for key prices or key price levels to really get into gold. Okay. But anyway, so for the very, very short term for now, just looking to see what's going to happen now that we've kind of hit this initial previous resistance and support level. Maybe we'll see something up to 1880 where, we had some pretty choppy price action, so it could go back down from there. But let's see. Who knows what's going to happen, but I'm just eyeing this for now and not freaking out. It's important to also note that with the positive news, right, that correlation between yields and gold is serious, and we have to definitely keep an eye out for that. Okay, so see how it goes throughout the next few hours, etc. I mean, until tomorrow morning or whatever. That's also it's something you're going to have to consider if you really want to, for example, open the short position like I was talking about at those, let's say 1890, 1880 levels, whatever. Okay, you really have to keep an eye on that. Okay. But last quick thing I would say is, and this is a day like today also really emphasizes this for me. It's just like the best traders, as I've started trading more and more, that I've just noticed that the best traders, it's not even about using a stop loss, but the best traders or the best investors, or whatever you want to fucking call it, they just know when to mitigate their losses. That's really all it comes down to, because yes, of course you want to let your winners run, but you also just, the best traders, they just know when, like, hey, like, sometimes you just got to cut the loss, take the hit, and just understand that it's just letting you have a chance to basically go into the market again, right? And get a winner, get one that's going to actually run long, right? Because that's really, those are the trades that are going to make you the best money. And this is just a sign for it. So especially if you're a beginner watching this video, I hope you learned that lesson. That's really, really important. Oh, and of course the lesson that don't fuck around with data, especially when trading gold. Data is huge. You can get fucked by it. So you got to watch out for it. You got to be on top of data releases, okay? This is another website I've started using more and more, Forex Factory, or useinvesting.com, but just make sure you're on top of it so you don't get shocked, okay? You don't get shocked. Okay, one last thing I also want to bring up is silver. I know this is a gold video, but silver is something that I've actually been really interested in for a while. I just felt like it wasn't a great time to get into it at these kind of higher levels, but now silver has also seen a pullback with the data that came out, right? And so, especially on the day chart, it kind of just looks like this massive wedge is forming. And I'm definitely, if we continue to see a pullback in silver, I'm definitely going to start getting interested in probably taking a long-term position on silver if we reach like this $25.5 level here. Would be very, very interested to see if we get a bounce like we saw before. Again, I'm also pretty bullish on silver. I can do a whole video on silver, honestly. I don't want to ramble on too much right now about why I'm pretty bullish on silver. But yeah, this pullback is definitely nice, and this is definitely a level like right around, yeah, right here that I'm kind of interested in eyeing and opening a position in. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any thoughts on what we're seeing right now. If this is actually an actual reversal, I don't think it is, but happy to debate. Take it easy, guys.